Hi everyone! Welcome back to my YouTube channel in which I document my 2021 no-buy year. For today's video, I'm going to do a Shop My Stash, my February makeup bin, alongside my mini library haul. Hopefully makeup and books are something that you are both here for, so let's get on into it. First of all, I would like to just say, before I actually talk about my February makeup bin, my Shop My Stash for February, is that I really enjoyed my January makeup bin, Shop My Stash process. I felt like it really helped me to get to know the products that I chose for my January bin really well in a way that I hadn't before. I also found some new favorites, which I will talk about today. And also made me realize how little makeup I actually need and how much makeup I actually use. I think that really ties into one of the reasons why I wanted to do the no buy in the first place. Just to see that I don't really need as much stuff as I think I do. And then also just to develop a more considered and thoughtful relationship with the stuff that I already have. Just wanted to mention that. Typically, I think going forward, what I will do for my Shop My Stash, my makeup bin, my monthly makeup bin videos is I will talk about the items I shopped my stash for the previous month and how that went, and then talk about the items that I chose for the current month. That's going to be more moving forward because this go around, I actually didn't, my makeup bin that I had out on my vanity, everything that was already in there, I almost kept all of it anyway. I went through all those things in my previous Shop My Stash, my January makeup bin video, which I will link up in the cards above, but I'm not going to go through all those items just because it was a lot. And again, you can see all those items if you want watching the video from January, my Shop My Stash video from January. So I'm not going to talk about all the things that were in my makeup bin for January, except for one of my MVPs that I just really loved getting to know better, and then what is leaving my makeup bin for February. So let's start with my MVP. So my MVP was the Afterglow Multi-Use Palette 530 by Vapor Beauty. I've had this for a while, and it has 3 different products in it here. So I'll open it and show you. It's a little gross and messy, so I apologize for that. But there are 3 products in this palette. There are the Courtesan Aura Classic. I believe that's their multi-use product. It's for both lips and cheeks. The Alper Siren Lipstick and Kitten Velvet Gloss. Oh my gosh, I loved this palette. And it had just been languishing in my makeup drawer for so long. And then I had it in my January makeup bin and started using not only the Courtesan, the Aura Classic Courtesan multi-use, cover the mirror, multi-use product, but I also started using the lipstick and the lip gloss, and I'm actually wearing them today, so I have all 3 of these on today, and I love it. I think the colors are so perfect for my skin tone. I didn't realize how much I would love these lip products. I only was really interested in the multi-use product. But now that I've started using the 2 lip products, this whole palette is just a winner. And even better is that using this palette has reduced my craving for a sort of dusty rose, like roseberry nude lip color. And I have a lip color like that in my wish list for the month of February, and I think it's going to come off. I think I'm going to have to remove it because this is definitely I mean, this is the winner and I already have it. So it just goes to show that you need to get to know your stuff better. You need to get to know the makeup, the beauty products, the clothes that you already have to really understand what you have. And do you really have that perceived gap in your makeup collection or in your wardrobe? Highly likely that you may not. You may not have that gap. And you just have to get to know the products, the clothing that you already have better to figure that out, to learn that. And to me, that's such an integral part of the no-buy experience, is that you feel like you want all these things. And a lot of times they feel like a need because of that perception of a gap, of a lack of something. But you actually aren't lacking it. It's there in your wardrobe or in your makeup bin. And this is just a prime example of that. So loved this. It will be going back in my makeup bin for February. It's just perfection. I should mention, I will post a picture of the lip product that I had on my wish list that I've been wanting to buy that I am no longer interested in buying because of my newfound discovery of something that I love, that fills that need, and that was already in my makeup collection. It is the Ilia Beauty lip. It's not like their lipstick. It's like a lip balm, colored lip balm or something. I'll put the name up on the screen. In the color Little Sister. So this was my MVP. Now let's talk about what I'm taking out of my January makeup bin, and that's going back into sort of the more extended long-term makeup storage. And that product I actually don't have. I've actually already decluttered it, because it gave my lips a pretty intense reaction. So it wasn't something that I could put in my long-term storage and then bring back because it caused a reaction for me. So it was the ColourPop Luxe Liquid Lipstick from their Disney collection in the color, it's Phoebos. So they had products with a color story that tied back to individual Disney animated films. And Phoebos was from the Hunchback of Notre Dame. Even though it's a liquid lip, it is a matte formula. And matte formulas do not work for me in general unless I can layer a gloss over the top. I have extremely dry, sensitive, peeling, like cracked lips. It's attractive, isn't it? And so no matte lip products for me in general. I do have a few, but they all layer really well under a gloss. And this, A, did not do that. It did not layer well under a gloss. And B, I don't know, it just had some reactions with my lips where the few times I used it in January, it caused my lips to peel and crack more than they normally do. And it could possibly be that it's winter, and where I live here in New York is very dry in the winter, but I don't think that was it. And regardless of that, even if it was just because of winter, it didn't perform well under a gloss. It would ball up and the texture would just be really odd, like very thick and kind of separating on the lips. And so it really had nothing going for it for me. And I just had to declutter it. So I actually passed it on to a family member who much prefers matte lip formulas, and they work well for that person. So, but that was really the only thing that is leaving. It's already left, but that left my January makeup bin. And to me, that really speaks to the fact that I think I did a fairly good job at picking the products to begin with. But I do feel like there were some gaps in my makeup bin, some shades I wish I had in the makeup bin. And so that was my focus for February, was filling that gap. Because the way I treat my Shop My Stash monthly makeup bin, those are the only products I'm allowed to use for the month. So I wasn't going back into my long-term makeup storage to get things out to fill that shade range gap that I felt like I had in the January makeup bin. My makeup inspiration, which I talked about in my January video, I talked about how I typically have some kind of monthly makeup inspiration, overall aesthetic I'm trying to achieve for the month with my makeup. And that has not changed between January and February. For me, it tends to be more seasonal rather than monthly. So I'm probably more towards March or April. That'll start to transition. But right now, my aesthetic has stayed the same. It's that sort of windswept cheek, berry stained lips, Keira Knightley running around on the moors kind of look. So fairly minimal makeup look, and I did a really good job of choosing products to meet that look, with the exception of I just wish I had more rosy, nude, maybe slightly leaning towards brown shades incorporated as well for those days that I didn't really want to do a look that was leaning more towards the pink end of the range. And I wanted something that was more nude. So that was really the gap that I was experiencing in my January makeup bin that I wanted to fill for my February makeup bin. So I'm going to kind of divide this up into cheek products, which we'll talk about first. So cheeks, eyes, and then lips. Because as I already said, I was just trying to fill this gap of not having more rosy brown nude shades. Everything else that I had from January is staying in the February makeup bin. So I don't have too much that I had to pull out of extended storage. So the first thing is one of my Salt New York mini palettes. This is, so in here we have, this is the highlighter in the lightest shade. I believe it's called Pearl. So for those of you who don't know, let me just close this so the mirror is not reflecting back while I'm talking about this really quick. For those of you who don't know, Salt New York is a company. It was started by Kiki G. It's based out of New York, and all of her products come as magnetic pans that you're supposed to put in your own palettes. Now she does make palettes. She makes a mini, this zippered mini, as well as a larger zippered palette. But you could also put them in any magnetic palette. But that's how they all come without packaging. All of her makeup products just come in these magnetic pans. So we have the Salt New York Radiant Cream Tint Pro Pearl. I have been using this quite a bit, and it is a gorgeous highlighter. I'm not wearing it today. I'm wearing Rituel de Fille Ghost Light today, but I have been using this a lot. I don't know that you can really see the dent that I have left in the pan, but it's just a really perfect, very light champagne, slight, not really gold, but just kind of leaning more, slightly more neutral to warm. I would say this highlighter leans neutral to warm, very sheer, beautiful champagne color. It's great. I have been using it pretty consistently in February already. This is the Salt New York Lip and Cheek Cream Tint Pro in Cranberry. This I haven't used yet. I'm a little intimidated by it. It seems very intense. I think I just need to, I guess I should, I don't want this to be a swatch video because then it will be a very long video. Don't know if you can see that or if that's picking up, if that's true to color on camera. But it's, to me, it looks like a red with just the tiniest hint of pink in it. Like a cool red with the tiniest hint of pink. I haven't tried it yet. Do want to get into this though for February. I thought it would be a good shade for Valentine's Day. I don't know. We'll see. These two I have been using a lot more. This is the Lip and Cheek Cream Tint Pro in Spice. And this is the same Lip and Cheek Cream Tint Pro in Rose, I believe. Yes, in Rose. I have been using these two a lot. These were the shades I was really thinking about in January when I was really thinking about wanting more rosy nudes that leaned a little bit brown. So These shades are really going to fill that need, and I've already been using them and loving them. The next cheek product is the Lovesick. What am I saying? The Lovesick, as if that was the name of the brand. It's Rituel de Filles Inner Glow Cream Pigment in Lovesick. Again, as you can see, rosy, sort of a rosy nude, leaning brown. This is more, to me, like a rosy mauve, but still has some brown tones in it. So again, chose this to fill that need. So now let's talk about lip products. I have 4 lip products that I took out of my backup storage for the month of February, and that is the NYX Butter Gloss in the shade Angel Food Cake. And that is a very apt name. If you haven't tried any of the butter glosses, they smell like dessert. I know I said this wasn't going to be a swatch video, and look what I'm doing already. So a beautiful rosy shade. This one doesn't really have any brown in it. It's more rosy pink with a touch of lavender in it. Really love this shade. Love the texture of this product. Very soothing and comforting on the lips. Doesn't get into any of the cracks, like fill in any of the cracks in my lips and give my lips that kind of dehydrated appearance. I really do like the butter glosses, and eventually would like to get more shades. Not this year, obviously, during my no buy. The next one is MAC Patent Polish Lip Pencil in the color Clever. And I really like this formula. I love the Patent Polish formula. I have another one of the the MAC Patent Polishes in my makeup bin back from January. It's going to stay in there for February. And I loved using it so much in January. And I remembered I have another one. I have another one of these in my backup makeup storage. So just for the formula alone, I wanted to bring this out. But it has less shine than a gloss, but it has as much of a hydrating feeling on the lips as a gloss would. So I really, really like this formula. It gives a nice shine to the lips. It doesn't have like a harsh appearance on the lips. Amanda Z describes it as the butthole lip. Like when you get a product that is just, it gives this harsh appearance to the edge of the lips, and it kind of makes your mouth look like a butthole. This does not do that. It blends into my lip line really beautifully, almost like an ombre effect, even when I'm not trying to do that. It kind of just, it enhances, it adds color, but also enhances my natural lip tone. And then, as it gets closer to the edge of my lips, it doesn't give a harsh appearance. I don't know. I know I'm not explaining that well, but I think you just need to try these for yourself to see what I'm talking about. It just gives a very soft, blurred effect, but not like the powdery blurred effect like a lot of liquid lipsticks do. It's like a blurred effect, but with a gloss. Don't even know if that makes sense. Oh well. The next product this was actually an Amanda Z find. I discovered this from her channel. Is the Bite Beauty French Press Lip Gloss in Dirty Chai. This is actually discontinued. This is such a beautiful rosy nude leaning brown. You can see it's definitely more brown than the Angel Food Cake, the NYX Butter Gloss, but it's deeper in tone than the MAC, the Patent Polish. It has the most interesting fragrance. I think they try to make these smell like coffee products because of the whole, French press name, but it kind of smells like coffee mixed with milk and pencil shavings. I know that seems so odd. It is odd to me every time. Like, it's not bad. It's just different. It's just different. But love this color as well. Super happy to have it back in my makeup bin for February because I used this a lot it's a really great autumnal shade, so I used it a lot in the fall. Super happy to have it back. And the last lip product is my Kosas lipstick in the shade Rosewater. So the Kosas lipsticks, at least from my limited experience with them, this is the only full size I own, but I have tried samples before. The formula can be a little drying for me. So I often will, when I wear Rosewater, I will layer the Dirty Chai, the Bite Dirty Chai over it. It's a perfect combination because just for me, it is a little bit drying. It's not a super hydrating formula. The color is to die for. It really is kind of my lips but better. So there you can see it. It's right there. My lips but better. It is just the most perfect. It's a neutral tone to me. It doesn't really lean too cool or too warm. It's like a neutral tone. I keep saying the same, like rosy nude. That's what it is. And as I said, that's what I was looking for out of my long-term makeup stash, because I didn't have any in my January bin. So I guess it makes sense, but it's irritating me that I keep using the same adjectives to describe these products. But again, it's just, it's so beautiful. I love it, but a little drying. So we'll definitely be layering that under a gloss. All right, the last products are eye products, and I pulled out, I really wanted like a taupe eye color that blended out a little bit better than my ColourPop Super Shock Hanky Panky that I have in my February makeup bin that's a rollover from January. Hanky Panky is a beautiful taupe color and it just doesn't blend super well. I think mine is on its last legs anyway because it's starting to do some weird textural stuff. It's starting to get really crumbly, and I've heard that about the Super Shocks, that they kind of dry out really fast and don't last very long. So I wanted something that was a little more creamy but in the same color family that just blended a little better. And so I pulled out my Laura Mercier Caviar Stick eye color in Au Naturel. If I'm pronouncing that right. And it's just the perfect taupe shade. And it is a fabulous like crease color, and it's great. I usually will use this all over just the lid and in the crease for a base for anything I might put on top if I'm going to do an eye look. And I actually do have it on today with this on top, which was another color that I've been wanting to try. This was actually a newer purchase and I haven't had a chance to try it out. This is the Magnetic Luminous Eye Color by, I think this is Bobbi Brown. No, it's Nude Sticks. It's the Nude Sticks Magnetic Luminous Eye Color in Smoke. So pretty. I mean, it's like a deeper taupe with some gray and a slight touch of lavender in it. I'm sure that's not picking up on camera, but I love this. I've only used it a few times, and I purposely wanted this in my February bin because I purchased this back in December, hadn't had a chance to use it. It didn't go in my January bin, so I didn't have a chance to use it, and I kept thinking about it and wanting to try it. And then last, I have the Rowan Beauty eyeshadow palette in 1111, and again, these are just I love these so much. I've used these a lot in the past, and I actually purposely did not include them in my January makeup bin, Shop My Stash, because of that. I felt like I needed to get to know some of my other eye products a little bit better. But these are also those eye products where you can just use one or two on the lid, just kind of smudge them all over the lid with your finger. You know, you can use a brush as well, but they're just really easy. You just like throw them on and somehow they look perfect. Like it's kind of that off-duty supermodel look. Kind of, I mean, I don't look like an off-duty supermodel no matter what I do to my eyes, but that kind of vibe, that aesthetic, if you will. So really excited to bring these back out to play, but I am going to need to, like I did for January, kind of put these away and bring it back. So I just feel like if I keep these in there, all I will do is use these and not any of my other eye products. And I want to get to know some of my other eye products better. So I know I didn't swatch these, but like I said, you can always find more detailed reviews on YouTube. And I don't know, my camera doesn't seem to be picking up colors very well. So I feel like it won't do these justice anyway. So that is it for my Shop My Stash for February. I am super excited and really eager to get into all of these products and start using them, along with everything else that I rolled over from January into my February makeup bin. And I just feel like with the addition of these products, I have a very well-rounded, curated collection that's really going to meet just about any need I might have, for my makeup for the month of February. So that's it for that part. Time to talk about books. So the first thing I just want to say is I apologize for the obvious change in lighting. I had to stop recording for a little while and then pick it back up. So it is now dark outside and I am using my ring light, and it's not the best ring light, but I'm using my ring light to light for the video. So getting into my book haul. So I picked up 4 books from the library about 2.5 weeks ago. I love our local library. I am a big supporter of libraries. Let's get into the books. I'm going to start with the ones that I've already finished reading. So this is Neil Gaiman's The Sandman. This is Brief Lives. So, which is volume 7 of the series. And Neil Gaiman is one of my favorite authors of all time. He wrote 2 of my favorite books that I reread quite frequently, which is The Graveyard Book and Neverwhere. And he is such an amazing writer. He just is the way that he approaches his world building, I think, is unique. It's slightly chaotic, but I like that about his world building. I feel like he tends to, not always, but he tends to have a lot of threads running through a story all at once, and sometimes you're confused as to why there are all these threads of plot lines running through the story and of different aspects of the world running through the story, but they always coalesce into a very cohesive finale towards the end of the book. And that is no different in his Sandman series. It's interesting. This was really my first foray into graphic novels, and it was really Neil Gaiman that attracted me to reading these. I have read comics in the past. In fact, one of my favorite comics of all time is the Infinity Wars, Infinity Gauntlet series by Marvel, which was highly popularized by the recent Marvel movie Infinity War. But I would say that comics aren't my preferred reading medium, or at least they haven't been for the majority of my life. And I kind of had gotten away from them once I was no longer a teenager. But this has really brought me back to a type of comic. I mean, I would say graphic novels fall under the umbrella of comic books, but they're more. It's more than that. And with Neil Gaiman, it is certainly more. Everything about Neil is more. If you do not know the Sandman series, it tells the trials and tribulations of the Endless, of which one of those is, he's often referred to as the Sandman, or Lord Dream, or Dreams, or he's basically the anthropomorphized concept of dreams. And in the beginning, he's been imprisoned through an occult ritual. And speaking of occult rituals, this is not for kids. It is definitely urban fantasy, dark fantasy, urban horror, genre kind of all combined. And he's been imprisoned. Lord Dreams has been imprisoned through this occult ritual, and then it kind of goes through how he has changed as a result of his escape. And the way that these graphic novels are written, and more importantly, illustrated, they are beautifully illustrated. They are very disturbing when it comes to the illustrations. I think that part of the illustrations are supposed to really make you feel like you're in a story within a story, and that the entire world around that story within a story is in a dreamlike setting. So there's a lot of aspects of the illustrations that seem irrational, the way dreams can be irrational and disjointed and not make sense, but they always resolve themselves towards the end of each volume. And Brief Lives is probably one of my favorites that I have read. I'm going in order, so I've read up to this one, number 7. There's still a few more that I need to read. I am not a serial series reader, meaning there are some people who, once they start a series, they have to finish it. They can't read anything else until it's done. I am not like that. I'm more like the type of person who wants to hop around from book to book to book. And many of the books that I read, in fact, I think all of the books in this stack are from series. Highly recommend the Sandman series. Even if you are not a comic book person, you're not a graphic novel person, if you are into urban fantasy, dark fantasy, urban horror genres, I think you will like this. And I highly, highly recommend that you read the Sandman series for sure. Okay, next up was the second book that I finished in the stack, which was Baptism of Fire by Andrzej Sapkowski. So this is one of the Witcher books. The Witcher has recently become popular, I think, in general knowledge because of the Netflix series. I have played the Witcher games now for, I don't know, like the past 15 years. They've been out for a long time, the Witcher games on the computer. So I have played the Witcher games before, so I knew about it from that end of the universe. I did watch the entire Netflix series. I thought it was quite good. The casting I thought was wonderful. And I don't know why it took me so long to get to the book series. Normally it's not like that. If a movie series comes out that's based on a book, or if I'm playing video games or consuming some kind of content that's based on a book, typically I will read the books first. That normally comes first. So this was a little unusual in that it didn't happen in that order. The books are awesome. These are high fantasy, just very, not just fantasy, but like almost political fantasy, kind of more like medieval political fantasy, high political fantasy. I don't even know if that's a category, but that's how they seem to me. The politics of the various countries and regions in these books is very much at the forefront of the plot, of the world building and what's happening. And I think this is maybe the fifth or sixth book in the series. I have a few more. I think I have 2 more left to read. I started reading these maybe halfway through 2020, and I'm hoping to get through the rest of the books. I will get through the rest of the books in the series by the end of this year. This was probably my favorite out of all the ones that I've read, Baptism of Fire. It's a departure from all of the books leading up to it in that a lot of character building happens in this book, more so than any of the other books. So there's less action and more character building in this one. The book before this one, before Baptism of Fire, is called The Time of Contempt, and it is just go, 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 action, 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 action. And this was such a departure from that, but in the best way. It really, you get to know Geralt of Rivia in a way that makes him much more of an interesting character to read. I want to know more about him now. He seems so less two-dimensional because of this book that where Sapkowski was really focusing on the Witcher's story this time around and sort of his character development and how he's changing as a result of his relationship with Ciri and with Dandelion, who's a troubadour. Ciri is sort of his, you can kind of think of her as his adopted daughter. There's a whole plot line behind that I'm not going to summarize, but if you like fantasy and if you like to read fantasy with a lot of political intrigue to it, definitely recommend the Witcher series. Next up is a book I started reading but I haven't finished yet. And this one just gives me very comfy vibes. Redwall. This is, it's got plastic on the cover, so it's reflecting a lot of the ring light. So I apologize for that. I'm going to try to minimize that as much as possible. But the Redwall series, The World of Redwall by Brian Jacques was my favorite series as a child. I devoured these books. I read these books when I was younger, loved them, absolutely adored them. These are just swashbuckling adventure stories. If you are in for if you want just a swashbuckling, ships at sea and pirates and sword fights and, the long patrol with the hares, fighting against the sea rats and reading about all of Redwall Abbey's amazing feasts. Let's talk about the Feasts of Redwall for a moment, because that is one of the things that drew me to the books as a kid and continues to draw me to these books as an adult. I love to cook, and the feasts in Redwall. So Redwall is an abbey that was built by a group of creatures, woodland creatures, and as a sort of safe haven for all animals in the area. And they're renowned for their feasting. They have feasts for, the change of the seasons and to celebrate heroes coming back home and for birthdays and for, racing across the wall top competitions, all kinds of things. They feast at the drop of a hat. And the way that the author describes the feasting, it makes me want to cook everything that they are eating in the feast. In fact, there was even a Redwall Abbey cookbook that came out that I did pick up from the library and briefly looked through. For some reason, I don't remember having a lot of time to look through it more closely. I ended up returning it. So I want to check that one out again and start making some of the recipes from that cookbook, because that's one of the things I love about these books. When it's time for a Redwall feast, it's just the coziest, welcome home feeling, the most hygge feeling in the world. I love it. I just love these books. I don't know. There's nothing else to say. If you like swashbuckling adventure with animals, read this. Read the Redwall series. There are a lot of books in the series, though. This is the last one. So this is it for me. After this, no more. Last is Philip Pullman's new trilogy. This is the first of the new trilogy. So this is the Book of Dust trilogy, La Belle Sauvage. And I loved Philip Pullman's Golden Compass trilogy. If you have not read that, I highly recommend it. It is fantasy with political intrigue, but couched within a fascist religious regime. So the commentary on fascism, on a religious fascist state is very prominent. It's a very prominent part of the Golden Compass, of the Golden Compass trilogy. It's actually called, so it's not the Golden Compass trilogy, my apologies. The Golden Compass is the first book in the trilogy, which is called His Dark Materials. But you, if that sounds at all interesting to you, if you love fantasy, again, that has some political intrigue alongside a huge dose of the fascist fascist religious state. Kind of like V is for Vendetta. It definitely has that sort of vibe, that sort of flavor to it. Then I think you would really like his Dark Materials. And I can't speak to the Book of Dust trilogy yet because I haven't started reading this one yet. I'm going to start reading this one after I'm finished with Redwall. With I didn't even say that this was called The Rogue Crew. So it's from the Redwall series, but the actual name of the book is The Rogue Crew. So I apologize for that. I haven't read this one yet, but I'm super excited. I'm super excited to get into it because, again, I loved his Dark Materials. I loved The Golden Compass in particular out of the 3 books in his Dark Materials. So I think this is going to be an epic fantasy adventure. So that's it. That's it for my video, and hopefully you enjoyed my little library haul. I was a little nervous about talking about books on what's supposed to be more of like a makeup and fashion channel, but really this is a lifestyle channel, and books are part of my lifestyle. So there you go. I'm not going to apologize for that, but hopefully you still enjoyed it anyway. So please give this video a thumbs up. Please give it a like. It will really help out my channel if you do. And if you fancy following me along on this wackadoodle 2021 no-buy year, please make sure to subscribe and hit that little notification bell so that you are notified of all of my upcoming uploads. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye!